So I am Raeus Cannon. For those of you who don't know me, I've been doing this about twice a year for, several years now. Somebody left their phone up there, it looks like. So if you left your phone up there, yeah, if you left your phone up there, might want to get it. So a lot of people are like me, where they don't feel comfortable going into a big crowd and schmoozing, so to speak. You've heard that term, I'm sure. And when I first started in business, I was selling a product that you can't take a picture of. So think about that for a second. How do you market a product you can't take a picture of? Can't put it in a magazine or in a newspaper or on the internet. You can't take a picture of it. What in the world do you do? So you have to describe it and you have to show it to them. And so I found myself having a very difficult time describing it, because what we did was personalized small project printing that was foil enhanced. Now, if you all have any idea what I just talked about, you're probably in around where everybody was back then. I was like, I have a product that can't be photographed, and it's really hard to explain. So what I had to do was go around and go, this is what it looks like. And people go, oh, that's beautiful, I want that. But how do I explain it? So I had to get in front of people. Well, I'm the creative, obviously, that would prefer to stay behind the computer, decorate pretty things, create pretty things, design, et cetera, et cetera. I actually am a fiber artist in my sideline. And so I'd rather be sitting at home creating stuff. And then I got kind of pushed into this thing where I had this great business that I loved doing. I got to design beautiful things, but I had to sell it in order to design those pretty things. So how do you do that? And when you go into business, they don't tell you about those things. They don't tell you how to market yourself. Everybody says, hang up your shingle and they'll beat down the door, right? It doesn't work that way, does it? So I ended up going to the chamber, because I'm one of those people that believes if you are in business, you should be part of the chamber. It is part of the business community. And Blount County Chamber has always been very good to me. We support each other very nicely. And so I went to the chamber and I walked into the first coffee and was kind of like, oh my gosh, there are a lot of people here. Well, what I didn't tell you is all the way there, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to meet 10 people at this coffee. And then there's this little itty bitty voice. Have you ever heard that little itty bitty voice on the back of your mind that goes, are you kidding? You'll be lucky to meet 2. Shh, hush. Don't listen to that. Set your sights high. Set your goals high, right? I'm going to meet 9. So I've already reduced my goals a little bit, right? And the little voice says, oh, come on, you know you're not going to meet anybody. So I did this all the way to the meeting. As if that's not a bad enough beat-up session, I got there 15 minutes early. So I helped the people at the chamber set up, and I did all that stuff for them. And then I met 2 people. Only 2 people. And so I beat myself up and cried all the way home, because I'd only met 2 people, and I was like, you're never going to build a business meeting 2 people at a time. Oh my gosh. It was terrible. And at that point in time, some of the chambers I went to, because I went to them all back then, had 2 chamber networkings a week. So I got up the next morning and did the whole thing all over again. Set my goals high, got beat down, walked in early, met 2 people, and beat myself up all the way home. It was terrible. I did that for 2 years because I was absolutely committed to making this business work. And people go, why did you put up with that? Well, I put up with it because I knew it had potential to grow my business. And meeting 2 people at a time, before I knew it, I looked around the room and I knew almost everybody there. It's amazing how 2 people meet two more people, meet two more people, and it exponentially grows. It got to the point where every time I walked into the room, I had a line of people who were waiting for me to talk to me because somebody else brought them over. I didn't know the person that wanted to talk to me. I knew the people that had brought them in and said to them, she'll be at the networking event. She's always at the networking event, so come with me to the networking event and I'll introduce you to her. So all I had to do was walk in. Wouldn't you love that? And that's what started my business. 85% of my business came just from showing up at networking meetings. What a fun way to do business. I mean, I've done the cold calls. Knock, knock, knock. Will you talk to me? No, go away. I've done all those things. I would rather chew off my right arm than dial a number of somebody I don't know or knock on somebody's door that interrupts their day because I feel like I am interrupting their day. So instead, I went to networking events. So through that going to networking events, about 2 years in, I was standing in a particularly busy networking group, and I was actually hiding behind a palm tree because I had had enough. Too many people, and I was just trying to get away a little bit. So I know where every palm tree and every column is in every building in East Tennessee that I can hide behind. And if you think that's funny, I can show you. And because being that ambivert, I need that time to be able to just kind of get away. So this one particular day, I'm kind of standing behind this palm tree, and on the other side of the palm tree, I notice somebody who used to be Lamar Alexander's marketing person. He used to be the head of the Knoxville chamber, and his name is Mike, and he says to me, "So, Miss Queen of Networking, why aren't you out there doing your thing?" And I'm looking at him like, who are you talking about? What? Who's Miss Queen of Networking? He says, you are. You know everybody here. And I looked out over a crowd of about 400 people, and I realized I did know the majority of who was there. But I met them all 1 and 2 and 3 at a time. So the thing is, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. Your whole purpose of networking is to go out and to make friends. So I'm going to start with stop selling. Doesn't that seem a little odd that I should tell you to stop selling? Of course it does. That's what you're all here for, right? Who would like to sell a product? None of you? This is the participation part. Okay, so yes, we're all there to sell a product, a service, or something. So why would we want to stop selling? Well, the reason is because you are there not to sell there. You are there to create a relationship where you can sell eventually. Now that sounds like it's going to take a lot of time, and sometimes it can, but sometimes it doesn't. Depends on how you meet these people. So one of the things is when you go in, I've seen a lot of people come in and they have these beautiful brochures, these beautiful rack cards, all these beautiful marketing pieces. And I love those marketing pieces. I designed a lot of them. But, hate to say it, at networking events, if it doesn't fit in a pocket, it's not going home with them. So, leave all your sell stuff at home. I remember one girl at a networking meeting who literally brought her contracts with her. And she said, "Caitlin, it sounds like you really like what I do. Would you like to sign up for this now?" "No, I don't want to sign up for this now. I don't know you. I don't have a relationship with you. I don't know whether you're real, whether you're a con. I know nothing about you at all. Why would I do business with you?" But there are people that look at it that way. I met you, you should do business with me. Not down here, you don't. So, what kind of business do you want to do? I can guarantee you that business that you do that is made over time, like a friendship, is going to last a whole lot longer than one that you cold call, sign on the dotted line, and then you're gone. Okay, which is how sales used to be. And that's why I start with stop selling, because you're there to create relationships, and relationships take time. Now, obviously, if I got 85% of my sales and my business from networking events, obviously this works, all right? What you need to understand is that it works and it takes time. So here's what I always tell people. When you stop selling, you start helping other people to build their business. So when I go to a networking event, and I hope that you all will do the same, is I will walk up to somebody and say, hey, Tiana, what do you do? And she'll tell me what she does, and I'll ask her questions about her business and say, so what would be your best referral source? What would be a terrible referral for you? What would be the best job you would love to have, and what would be the worst job you would love to have? Who's your biggest competitor? How long have you been in business? What do you like best about your business? What don't you like the best about your business? All those kinds of things, because I want to get a really good feel for what she does. And then I'm going to also ask her, who's your target market? Who do you really want to meet? And let's say she says to me, I need to meet interior designers. If I know there's an interior designer in the room, I'm going to go, come on, Tiana, I'm going to introduce you to somebody. And I'm going to take her by the hand and introduce her to that interior designer. And the funny thing is, I'm probably going to do that before I have said one word about what my business is. Because my business is irrelevant right at the moment. I want to help her. Why do I want to help her? Because I believe in the adage of every time you help somebody, it comes back to you tenfold. But you can't count. I can't say, if I give you 10 connections, I should get 10 connections back from you. No, it doesn't work that way. If I give her 10 connections, it's going to come from somewhere else. But the more you give, the more you get. So when you stop selling, what you replace that with is giving. Make sense? Okay. So don't bring all your expensive marketing stuff and stop selling. Let me say one more thing about stop selling. There's something I call a hit and run. And we had this happen with a gal at a networking event where she came up to us and she had her business cards, and her boss had obviously told her to come to this thing. And she saw a bunch of us all standing together talking to each other. And so she came up to us and she said, okay, I'm going to network. She has this great idea. And so she pulled out her cards and she said, hi, my name is, here's my card, 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 here's my card. And she was gone. She didn't want our cards. And we were all standing there in a group going, guess what happened to her card? We never saw her again. That is what I call a hit and run. And you'll notice that all of my signs had to do with driving, because y'all are driving traffic to your front door. And so these are all things you will see on a regular road, all right? So as you go around, and I'm talking about this hit and run, I want to go into 250 contacts. Y'all have seen this kind of sign. It's the interstate. And contacts is the interstate for your business. The average person, and they have proven this in multiple studies, the average person knows and has influence over approximately 250 people. You may be sitting there right now going, there's no way I have that much influence over anybody. Look at your Facebook profile. How many people are connected to you? Look at your LinkedIn profile. How many people are connected to you? Look at your TikTok and your Instagram, and et cetera, et cetera. How many people are connected to you? Interesting. I don't know about most of you, but I'd say it's probably a lot higher than this. And so what they have shown is that the average person knows and has influence over approximately 250 people. So right at the moment we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 people in the room. Am I talking to 15 people? This is a trick question. Yes, no? How many of you say yes? How many of you are like, I'm not answering that because she already told us this is a trick question. Yes, I'm talking to 15 people. Obviously, you all are here. But each and every one of you is a doorway to a possibility of 250 contacts. If you hear something here today that you feel like is really valuable to you and you take it out and tell somebody else, you have just opened that door to me without even knowing it, without even maybe even mentioning my name. And that's okay. Because the more you talk about it, then somebody else that you said it to also tells somebody else and tells somebody else. And doesn't this sound a little bit like something on social media that they call going viral? This was the original going viral before we had social media. And it's the same exact thing. So yes, I'm talking to 15 people, but I'm talking to 15 people times 250. All right? So when you go networking, you have to keep that in mind. If I'm talking just to Jonathan, okay, and we're having a great conversation, I'm talking to Jonathan. I am genuinely interested in who he's looking for, what target market he wants, what kind of business he wants. But I also know at some point, if he trusts me enough, he will open his database to those people. Maybe not all of them, maybe more of them, maybe less of them, maybe just a few really good ones. Doesn't matter. You've all heard this old thing of getting to know people, getting to like people, getting to trust people, right? It is absolutely true. And so if I rush into a relationship, or you rush into a relationship, we've all done it, either with a spouse or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever, we've all done that rush in, oh my gosh, I'm in love. And we've done it with business. Oh my gosh, you're wonderful. If you rush in too quickly, a lot of times you destroy that before you ever get a chance to grow it, because the trust doesn't get to grow. So you have to like somebody before you trust them. You have to know somebody before you get a chance to even like them. All right? So when you think about contacts 250, you've got to think about all the people that they might be able to introduce you to. So when you're at networking events and I say, I'm going to take Tiana to go meet that interior designer, if I spend most of my time helping other people meet who they want to meet, is it good for me? Yeah, it really is. I don't care if they ever hear about what I do. You won't hear much today about what I do. I care about helping other people, and as soon as I help other people, it automatically comes back to me, and it's very easy. I don't have to do the work. Everybody else does. Wouldn't that be nice? It's kind of like having a sales force without having to hire a sales force. Stay. So let's talk a little bit about when you get to networking meetings. A lot of people walk in and they go, oh my, everybody knows everybody. You've seen it, the little cliques, the little groups. Everybody thinks, oh, all these people over here know each other. They're all talking to each other. And all those people over there know each other. And how do I get into those groups? So there's a couple things you need to know. And this is kind of some of the more physicality stuff of networking. So one of the questions I get asked a whole lot is, how do you break into a conversation with a bunch of people that you don't know? So for this, I need 2 volunteers. This is the participation part, just 2. You just have to stand here. You don't have to do anything, I promise. Good deal, come on up here. Brave, brave people. They'll volunteer next time because I'm simple, I'm easy. So really, honest, God, all you have to do is stand here. So I want you to stand right there. Come on over here and you stand right here. And I want you guys to, I'm going to scoot you. Yeah, scoot you around just a little bit. There we go. Okay, So what I want you to see right at the moment is they would be what would be considered a closed conversation. Their shoulders are parallel. That would be a closed conversation. Okay, that means they're having a conversation. They don't want you to interrupt. Now, if I know Joy and I want to meet Jack, okay, I'm going to walk up somewhat behind Jack. I'm going to catch Joy's eye, okay? When she sees me, funny thing about this is it's all very unconscious. We don't do it because we think about it. We just do it. So I'm going to walk up and I'm going to go, hey, Joy. And she just did exactly what I wanted her to do. When she takes that foot back, what she's done is she has opened up that parallel shoulder for me to be able to walk in like this. And now we have our shoulders all, and this would be considered a pretty closed conversation. And if somebody else wanted to walk in, somebody's going to step out, and there's room for somebody to come in. This is all totally, totally unconscious. We don't think about it. We just automatically do it. So that's not that hard. Now, I'll let you go, and I'm going to keep you here for a minute. Okay, so the other thing that I get asked about a whole lot is how to stop what I call a honker. Anybody ever heard of a honker before? Have you heard of honker before?
No, I've not heard of honker.
Okay. Remember, all my stuff has to do with driving. So a honker is, have you ever had somebody that you walk up to and you say, hey, how are you doing? What do you do? And they go, I do blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and you're going, I got it. Time out, stop. And then they stop for a second and you go, and they go, and blah, 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 and you've all met them, right? So how do you stop a honker? Wouldn't you like to know? Everybody's sitting here going, are you going to show us, really? Do you slap them? No. So here's the easiest way to stop a honker from continuing on and on where you can't stop them. So let's say for just a second, Joy, which I doubt would ever be, but let's just say she's my honker, okay? And she is going on and on and on and on. All you have to do is reach out just briefly and touch her arm right here. Just you don't have to pick it up or anything, just reach out and touch her. She's going to stop in mid-sentence to find out what it is that's so important that you decided to interrupt her. Because in America, we don't touch each other. Don't think about it. Unless you have a good friend, we don't hug, we don't touch, especially not somebody you just met. Whoa. So if you want to stop a honker, you just reach out and touch their forearm. And they will stop in mid-sentence, thank you. They will stop in mid-sentence. I was talking with a friend of mine one day in a doorway, and another gal had been at this training the night before. And as she was walking through the door, she touched my forearm while I was talking to this other gal. And I turned around, because it's kind of like being tapped on the shoulder. Remember that game that you used to play? And so I did. I stopped in mid-sentence to find out who touched me. And she says, oh my gosh, it works. So it really, really does work. Excuse me while I get a little bit of...
Okay, so you touched them and then what?
What a great question. I should have paid you for that. That's the really, really important part. And I kind of gave you a bit of a pause for that. So once you stop them, if you don't do something, guess what? They're going to start all over again. So there's a couple things you can do. As soon as you reach out to touch them, you need to give them some reason to continue being silent. All right? And how you do that is you reach out and you touch them and you say, hey, it was really nice to meet you. I just saw somebody come through the door that I've been waiting for. I would love to see you at the next training or at the next networking meeting, but I really have been waiting for her or him for quite some time. And then be gone. Okay? Or you can say, I'm terribly parched. I'm going to go get something to drink. And be gone. Or food, be gone. Bathroom, be gone. Whatever it is that you decide to say to them, as soon as you say it, you need to be gone. Okay? Following me? Now, if you're in a really, how do I put this? If you're in a really snarky mood, which occasionally I get a little bit that way, say, it was really nice to meet you. Can I introduce you to so-and-so who is another honker? Introduce them to another honker and they will be happy as clams in sand, okay? So it may be funny, but it actually works. So honkers can be, a lot of times they are that way because they're nervous. They are that way because they don't know how to answer the question, what do you do? And there's lots of reasons why a honker is the way they are. But now you know how to stop them, okay? So people are most slippery when they've just been met. Oh yeah, go ahead.
What's the best way, let's say it's someone who keeps talking, but you really want to talk to them? What's the best way to transition that conversation for you to start talking and them to listen?
Good question. Say to them, hey, I really am interested in what you've got to say, and I know you and I are both here to meet as many people as we can. Can you and I meet for coffee? You name the place and the time, because now you're more in control, okay? Name a place that you feel comfortable at. Like for instance, my clients know that I have the Starbucks up in Knoxville as my kind of corporate headquarters. You know, so that's where I do all my meetings. And the nice thing is, since I do all my meetings there, the baristas know me. And so if I get certain things and I ask them for certain things, they know that Raeus is having a tough day. And they take good care of me. But go someplace, meet them for coffee. And a lot of people, when you meet them one-on-one, are not the same honker that you met at the networking meeting, because the networking meeting is very intimidating for a lot of people, okay? So, slippery when met, I have this here because now you've got these 250 people that you might be able to be connected with. And so, what this is all about is really follow-up. And the people, when you first meet them, are the most slippery to slip out of your database and out of your realm of possibilities. Because there's lots of people that are in your field. There are lots of people that they were going to meet and they're going to forget, et cetera, et cetera. So here's a couple things you need to know about meeting people and meeting people at networking events. So how many of you have a business card? Oh, good. Everybody get one out and put it in front of you. That's okay. Don't worry about it. This is more of a prop than anything else. So, okay. So you go to a networking event, and while you're at the networking event, I'm going to scoop these up real quick. This is my way of stealing all your information, right? No, I don't. So, okay. So you go to a networking event. How many of you have gone to a networking event, kind of like I started with, the idea that I'm going to meet 10 people? Anybody? I'm going to meet 5 people. I'm going to meet 4 people. Have you ever set a goal? Whatever it is, no. That's okay. People sometimes just show up and they go, whatever. And that's okay. So let's say you've been to a networking event. You leave the networking event, and this is what you've left with. You've met all these wonderful people. Ooh, that worked out pretty good today. Would you call that a good networking day? Yeah? What are these worth? Nothing if you don't follow up with them. How many of you have ever done what I call business card bondage? Business card bondage is something all of us have done, and it's such a shame that we do these to these poor little cards. We go to the networking event and we go, oh, these are so lovely. I'm going to do so much business out of this. And then you get back to your office and the phone is ringing, the emails are coming in, the boss is saying you need to send this letter, somebody has got a problem, whatever, you got to check Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and suddenly what happens to these? They get put in a little pile and you put it right in front of the monitor, right? Right in front of the monitor, between your keyboard and your monitor. Because tomorrow I'm going to follow up with all of these, right? And so you go to the next networking event, and you come back with another pile the next day, because that's what I do. I go almost every day. And it's still the same. There's still phones ringing, emails coming, all the stuff you've got to do, the boss is screaming, whatever, the kids are crying, whatever it is that distracts you. Now you have this little card pile there, and it's in front of the monitor, and you're going, I really need to call those people. So what you do is you take a paper clip or a rubber band, and you wrap it around it, and you bind it. You bind this poor little group of cards, and you say, I'll call you this week. And now you have another pile that now is next to it. And you're like, I'm going to call all of you tomorrow. Well, a couple weeks go by, and you finally get this one with the rubber band around it, and you go, I can't listen to you anymore. Because it's been screaming for 2 weeks now, going, call me, there's business in here, don't leave me, don't forget me. And now it goes into the drawer underneath the keyboard, never to be seen again. Can you all relate to this? I've been watching you in your offices. If you don't think I've been watching you in your offices, it's because I've done this. Lots of times, we've all done this. Lots of times we leave networking events with great plans of following up. But what keeps us from following up is we don't have a system. And a system of follow-up is really much simpler than you may think. How many of you use something like, Salesforce? Anybody use Salesforce? Okay, is it good for following up for you?
It can be.
It can be. Where does it get to where it's not so much?
Well, like the 250 contacts, I probably have more like 500 or more, and it's overwhelming.
Yes. It's amazing how quickly that follow-up list can get to the point where it's like, I've got 500 people to follow up with. I just assume turn the computer off, right? Okay, so I've done the Salesforce thing. I've done what is the other one that was really popular back in the day? Oh, crud, I can't remember what it was. Anyway, I've done them all. I've done Outlook. I've done just a million of them. I've tried them all. And finally, for me, what I found worked was just a simple Excel file with some filters. Simple. Just simple. And that way, what I do is I put their name and their phone number in and their email. That's all the information I want. And then I go in and I put several check marks. They're just columns of check marks. And it says, I have a system. First of all, I have a system of follow-ups. How many of you use Outlook? Most of you. You familiar with signatures? Some of you. Okay. Signatures in Outlook are where you can say that every email you send out is signed with this information. Okay, wonderful for signing an email. But did you know that you can write entire emails in that? So I have in my system an NTMY email. Anybody have any idea what that might stand for? You got the first two.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And all I have to do is open up a email and say, put the signature in, and it has the entire email in there. And all I have to do is put their name in, and if I want to add something, I can add something like, it was nice to meet you at this today, or I can delete whatever. The nice thing is I can follow up with 10, 15, 20 people in the time it used to take me to follow up with 2. Because now I don't have to make a decision every single time I write an email about what I'm going to say to that person. So everybody that I meet gets an NTMY email. And it's really simple. The nice thing, the secret is, if I send it to all of you, none of you are checking to see what I sent the other guy. So you all don't know it's the same one, except for now that I've told you, okay? But people within the same company don't know. And my nice to meet you email says nothing more than, Jeanette, it was really nice to meet you. And then I'll change at the networking training today, or at the networking event at wherever today. I would really like to find out more about your business. Let me know if you'd like to have coffee. That's all it says. It doesn't say about what I do, although it does have the kind of signature that says Raeus Cannon, blah, blah, blah. This is the name of my company, and this is my Facebook, and this is my website, and this is my phone number. But nothing else. It says, I want to find out more about your business. Would you like to have coffee? I don't know about you, but I get a lot of emails that say to me, hey, Raeus, it was really nice to meet you. I would really love to meet you and tell you all about my business. I don't care. It has nothing to do with me. There is nothing in it for me. And I hate to say this, but we are all listening to the same radio station, WIIFM. What's in it for me? It just is. So when you get those emails that say, hey, I can help you build your business, I can help you get more leads, I help you do whatever, I don't care. Help me find out about what your business is. You find out about what my business really is. Don't look me up on the internet and then send me some canned email. And you all get them. I get them all the time. Okay? So whatever you have as far as a system goes, make sure you write down that system. What is it? What is your first contact with them? If it's at a networking event, tell me what networking event you went to at the end of the year, which networking events are giving you the most bang for your buck. The next one, if it's an email, just check off that you sent the email and then put a date in the next one that says, this is when I want to follow up with them. If they respond to you, then you just say, hey, they responded. This is the next follow-up. And it makes it easy, okay? I don't have to sit down and from cold figure out what I need to send to every single one. Make sense? Can save you a lot of time. All right? So slippery when met really means have a good system of follow-up. If you don't follow up, here's an interesting statistic. And this is from any of you do, not networking events, any of you do like trade shows? Few of you, okay. Trade shows are really interesting. The National Trade Show Association actually did this study several years ago and found out that of the people that actually attend a trade show event, 80-some-odd% of the people coming are looking for something specific to purchase. Think about that for a second. 80-some-odd% are coming to purchase something from somebody there. The other side of that statistic is they found that 85% of the people who attended a show never, and I repeat that, never were followed up by anyone. I don't know about you, but that is jaw-dropping. We go, and it's the same thing as this business card bondage. We go and we think, okay, I'm going to get all these connections, and I'm going to call them as soon as I get back to my office, and then when they get back to the office, stuff happens. And so we don't get to follow up with them. So if you have something like card scan, anybody ever heard of card scan? It's kind of an old thing, but it's still very viable. While you're sitting on the phone, you just scan your cards into this little thing, and it saves all their information in all the right places. So it's like their first name is in where the first name is, their email is in where their email is, and once you scan them all in, then you can send a batch NTMY email to all of them with one press of a button. I don't know about y'all, but that's technology I like. Okay, so whatever your follow-up system is, make sure you know what it is and that you have it written down enough that you're not figuring it all out every time you send an email or make a phone call. So questions so far? See a few of you kind of going.
It's a follow-up question to when Joy was volunteering to, if there's people talking that don't, know you, then how do you include them? Or
How do you meet the people that you don't know?
Turn to you and welcome you in.
That's a good question. I didn't cover that, did I? Thank you. So that's one of the intimidating things about going to networking events. You walk into 200 people and you're like, oh, I don't know any of these people. So that's what the chamber people are really good for, okay? They usually have a table by the front door that's set up where people sign in, kind of like you did tonight. And if you tell them who it is you want to meet, or their ambassadors, here's one of the Blount County Chamber ambassadors, and you tell them who it is you want to meet or what kind of professions you want to meet, a lot of times they can introduce you to those folks. And if you tell them, this is my first time here, they're really good at saying, let me introduce you around, sweetheart. I'll be glad to introduce you to some folks that have been around a long time. And so use the chamber folks. That's what they're here for. They are here to make sure that you meet the kind of people you want to meet. All right? Thank you. I appreciate you
asking
that.
And when we do events, we'll have new people wear red tags.
Yes.
So that we make sure to go around and speak to everyone and introduce you.
Yeah. And there's another good thing about those little red tags is a lot of times people that are new are feeling a little uncomfortable. Let's just face it, we just do. We're in a room full of people that we don't know and everybody else seems to know each other. So you go around the edges of the room, and a lot of times I look like a snake going through a maze, because I'll just wander around the room, just kind of like this all over. And you look for the people that are standing kind of like this. You can tell they're like, please talk to me, don't talk to me. Oh my gosh, no, don't talk to me. They're uncomfortable, and you can see them. Go talk to those people. You'll rescue them, and they will remember you for the rest of their lives. Okay, and but the ambassadors are probably the best way to do that, and they are glad to introduce you to folks. But yeah, the people with the red tags, or even somebody who doesn't have a red tag that's standing over in the corner, as long as they're not on the phone, go up and say, hi, is this your first time? It's mine. What's your name? So it makes it a little easier. Anybody else have any questions so far?
You mentioned trade shows. Is there a different strategy? Because they come up, they're expecting to be sold, but they don't want to be sold.
No, nobody wants to be sold to. They all want to buy. And that's a funny thing is, yes, people at trade shows, the most common question for somebody in an exhibitor role at a trade show is, hey, how are you doing today? And they're just like, I'm fine. And they just keep on walking, right? So everybody says, ask open-end questions. Like, have you ever seen a traffic sign before? And they go, yeah, or no. I used to do trade shows and get really great response because I had my card scan there. Because for all the people that didn't have a card scan, they were kind of like, ooh, can I scan my card in? And it was like, this is really low-tech technology. But people loved it. And it was just a simple, hey, yeah, can't scan your card in. But the thing is, at trade shows, I like to start a conversation. So don't ever sit behind a table if you can help it. Put the table behind you and stand in front of it. And then as people walk by, compliment them on something, ask them a question that has nothing to do with your business. And the other thing, and this is so funny, if you want people to walk into your booth, go walk down to the end of the aisle and back. As soon as you're out of your booth, they'll come in. Either that or ask a friend to come in. It's the Rainmaker policy. As soon as there's nobody there or everybody there, people will come. But those are the two easiest ways I know to get people in. But ask them about what they're wearing. Say, oh, wow, you've got Ancient Village. Do you work there? I think that place is really cool. You know, start a conversation. People want to help you. That's the bottom line. They want to help you. They want to help you get ahead. They want to help you have a good day. They want to help you in all sorts of ways, but you got to give them how to do it. So if you say to them, hey, it's nice to meet you first, and I usually do say about this, when you are at a networking event, always ask them what they do first before you let them ask you. A lot of people go, ooh, it doesn't feel good. But let me tell you, if you go at it from the viewpoint of, I don't care if they know about my business, I want to know about their business and how I can help them, asking them what they do first is way more beneficial. Okay, does that answer your question kind of a roundabout way? Thanks. Okay, all right. So let's talk a little bit about merging. I've talked a little bit about how to get in and out of a conversation, but I also want to talk about how to get in the room. So you talked about a little bit, how do you meet the people that you don't know? No, you don't know anybody. How do you meet them? How do you meet that one or two that we talked about earlier? And so for the film guys, I'm getting ready to move all the way out here. I hope you don't mind. But there's a place I call the power spot, and it is in every single room that you will go to. And what that is the chamber will set up a table, and they will sign people in. And that table is usually real close to the door, okay? So if people are coming in this way, okay, and the room is back over there, let's say, and you two are the chamber, lovely ladies of the chamber, okay? They're signing people in, they're saying hello to all the people that they know, and the power spot is me standing right here. This spot gives you a chance to meet every single person who comes through the door that you want to meet. You are acting as a host or a hostess. They have plenty enough to do. Me being right here gives me the power to support them, but it also gives me the power to say, hey, it's really nice to meet you. How you doing today? Hey, it's really nice to meet you. I haven't seen you before. Hey, it's really nice to meet you. How are things going? Host or hostess. Now, if you stand in this power spot, there are three things you need to know. There are three things you need to know. One, where are the bathrooms? Two, where is the food? And three, where is the coffee, the drinks, the whatever? And lastly, I should have said four, the last thing is who is actually in charge? And that's the chamber people. Let me tell you, that spot right there can be the most valuable spot in the room. Because if somebody walks in and go, hi, I don't think I've ever seen you before, it looks like when they signed you in, this is your first time. It's my first time too. Would you like to go get some food? Or, hi, it's really nice to meet you. What do you do? But I get first dibs on every single person that walks through that door. I'm the first person they meet, and guess what happens 2 months, 3 months, 2 years, 3 years down the road? They say, Raeus was the first one I ever met. They'll remember you for life, because you were the first one that greeted them, and you greeted them nicely. Okay, so yes, you're slippery when met, but when you merge with people, you remember you're merging into groups of people that you may have not ever met, but that you have great potential to become friends with. You never know. What is it your mothers used to tell you when you were little? Every person you date has the potential to become a spouse. Okay? So it's the same thing with this. How are we doing on time? Who's got the time? 3:54. 3:54? Okay, just wanted to make sure. When I talk about this stuff, sometimes I can get a little carried away, as you may have noticed. So any questions so far? All right, so the last sign that I have here is do not exit. And do not exit is all about show up early, leave late. Why would you do that? They have networking from 3 to 4, 4 to 5. Why would I show up at 2:45? Why would I stay till 5:30? Because the people that come early are usually people that A, haven't ever been there before, they didn't know how to get here, or they're people who are anxious to meet people. Okay? So getting there early, staying a little late is two of the best times to actually talk to somebody. Have you ever noticed that during networking, it's kind of loud sometimes? It does. It gets really, really loud. So before and after sometimes is the best time to talk to them. So one of the things I also wanted to tell you that I just realized just now, I kind of forgot to talk about, and this is a biggie, is when you go to networking events, remember I told you to leave all that pretty marketing at home? There's only 2 things that you should be bringing to a networking event. Your business card and a Sharpie. Why do you want a Sharpie? Because they'll write on almost any kind of business card. Now, if you were in the Orient or in Asia, this would be a definite no-no. But in America, this is absolutely imperative, all right? So when you meet somebody, you say to them, Caitlin, it's really nice to meet you. Do you have a card? And they give you a card and you look at it, and please don't forget to do this. Look at it. Don't just go, oh, thank you, I'm collecting these. You know, it's not a collection that's going to grow at all. Remember us saying these aren't worth anything till you follow up with them? How many, we've got 3 guys down here. How many of you remember collecting baseball cards or football cards or any, nah, that's kind of before your time. How about you, Todd? You did? I know my brothers and my sons did. And I have a couple of cards that are still in my safety deposit box, and they're worth quite a bit. But unfortunately, these things don't gain any value. How many of you have a collection of these, like thousands of them? Yeah, the thing is, if you have thousands of them, chances are most of those cards aren't even any good anymore. They're not even at the place they used to work. So here's what you do with these cards. Somebody asks you for a card, and I watch this happen over and over, and I actually get kind of a kick out of doing this to people these days. And that is, if I ask a lady or woman for a card, they usually look at me and they dive down into this big, huge purse that they've got on the floor, and they're like, I know it's in here somewhere, I know it's in here somewhere, oh, it's not in there, it's not in, and we have a million pockets, don't we, ladies, in that purse. So we can't find it. When we finally do find it, we open it up because it's usually in something else, and we say, oh, that's somebody else's card, wait a minute, and they finally give me a card. Have you ever experienced that? Have you ever done it? I have. And guys, you're not getting out of this, because the guys, you've got a pretty decent suit on there, you know, Jack. Do you know that these really nice suits that like he's wearing have up to 11 pockets in them? That one's just a jacket, so you don't have all 11. But if you ask a man for a business card, he's going, let's see, it's in here, no, not. And then he brings out a wad of cards and he says, no, that's his, that's his, that's hers, that's his, that's hers. Oh, here's one of my, no, I got something written on the back. And so the whole idea of getting a business card out to give to somebody becomes a huge ordeal, doesn't it? And it's actually kind of a bit of a joke. So here's a really, really simple way to give somebody a card and to get their card without ever confusing them. Because if you're doing a lot of networking like me, you really need something like this. So your cards, anybody here left-handed? Okay, you're going to do this the opposite way, okay? But you keep your cards in the right-hand pocket, right there. And ladies, if you don't have a pocket, then keep it on the outside pocket of your purse, all right? But your cards go in this pocket. So does your little Sharpie pen. The cards that you collect go in this pocket. So all of these would go in here. At the end of the day, I know all I have to do is reach in here to begin my business card bondage. No, okay? So that's where the cards go that I collect. So the nice thing about that is if somebody says to me, do you have a card? I have one hand that is free. I can give you a card pretty easily, and you can do it the same way with your left hand. If somebody gives me a card, I look at it, it's already probably in my left hand, and I can just put it into my pocket. At the end of the day, I can take those out and I know exactly where they came from. So that makes that pretty much easier than what we're doing now, isn't it? And it does not start business card bondage. Okay? Don't do that. All right, so business cards, that's a simple way to do it. Your business card is the least expensive marketing material you have, all right, that's in print. Let's put it that way, because now we've got all this social media stuff. And your card will end up places that you will never expect. I had a call years ago, actually I got an email years ago from a man who was living in Australia who wanted to find out more about my company because he had my business card. Well, folks, I am a very local company, have been for 30 some odd years. I don't go to Australia for business. So I was really curious, how did you get my card? And he said, well, I was in California visiting some friends. I'm like, okay, how did you get my card? He says, they had friends come in from Maine. Like, this is the most convoluted story I've ever heard. The people from Maine were going to visit the people in California, and on their way, they stopped in Knoxville to visit some friends. And while they were in Knoxville visiting friends, they saw a piece of my work, and they picked up my card. And they took it to California. Well, in California, the whole thing about my work comes up, and they're like, this is what she does. And so the guy in Australia says, can I have her card? And he says, no problem, I'll get another one from my friend in Knoxville. So here I've got a card of mine in Australia of somebody I've never met that went through 3 hands of people I've never met. I've also seen them in the gutter. So, you never know where your card's going to end up. But these things are wonderful. The other thing that is wonderful about business cards is, have you ever met somebody and looked at their card and gone, I don't remember them. I know I met them today, but geez, I just don't remember them. This is the most valuable real estate on a business card. It's called the back. And on the back, you can write things like, had the really pretty leaf-colored blouse on, was one of the ambassadors for the chamber, is interested in other networking workshops. You can write whatever you want on this. And you'd be shocked at how, even 2 years later, you read the back of this and go, oh, that's who that was. Okay, so your Sharpie that you use is to write those things, okay? And it makes it really easy. The other thing is, how many of you have ever been at an event where somebody asked you for a phone number or an email or something like that, and you were like, I don't know. Nowadays we have our phones, it does make it easier. and we can text it to them, which is much easier. But sometimes we don't have everything we need. And so years ago, I was at a wedding. Weddings are tough. You got these little bitty, teeny tiny purses that just barely hold lipstick. And somebody said, Raeus will know a vet. Somebody wanted a vet. And so they brought them up to me and said, I told her you would know a vet. She needs a new vet. I was like, okay, I have a vet. And we started looking for something to write with. Couldn't find anything to write with. And I learned that day, these are not business cards. These are contact cards. If you are at a wedding, church, a bar mitzvah, a funeral, coffee with a friend's birthday party, I don't care what you're at. In America, the very first thing people ask you is, hi, it's really nice to meet you. What's your name? And what do you do? True or not? It's the very first question they ask you. What do you do? Because we are, as a culture, very enamored with our careers. So when somebody asks you what you do, you've already opened up the business. All right, that doesn't mean you go start selling, but it does mean, here's my card, it has my number on it, feel free to call me, I'd love to have coffee and continue this discussion. Okay? So don't think of these as business cards. If you do, you're going to miss a lot of opportunities. Think of them as your personal contact card. And then it opens up a lot more room. I mean, my card would have never shown up in Australia if it was just a card. Okay? So, questions at this point. What do you want to know about networking that I haven't covered yet? All the things you want to know about networking, but we're afraid to ask. Nothing?
What do you think about like when people put their logo and name and information like on a pen?
Oh, that's a good question. Logos on pens. Pens are interesting. I had a deal with my husband. I collected them, he lost them. Okay? I'm sure that the ASI companies will tell you it is huge, 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 huge. And I think it is huge at some times. It just depends on where you get it to and how you get it to them. If it were me, I would always be looking for that person who doesn't have a pen and saying, I have a pen for you, but I wouldn't be giving it to every single person because then again, it gets put in a box or a drawer or wherever. That's my opinion. Anything else? You look like you have a question.
No, I just was going to make a bad joke because you said that's my opinion about pen.
Oh,
I thought, no,
no pun intended. So, trying to think if there's anything I haven't covered. I know there is stuff that I haven't covered because every time I do this, it's just a little different. So that's why I like to find out what you all want to know. So, any questions at all? All right, then I'm pretty much done. So I will be here if you want to talk to me about anything that might be more personal to you or whatever, but thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Good luck networking. Go out and have a great day and make lots of business for each other. Go meet each other as long as we're here.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you.